He just stared at her. Rebecca's face was stained with soot, mixed with tears. She was staring at his legs, screaming. No, not at his legs. David Ben Soloman tore his feet from the concrete and ran for his daughter. He leapt over the bodies, desperate now. This young girl who stood melting on the sidewalk was his child, his only child now. He wasn't sure what he was doing. He only knew that he had to hold her and take her away from this. Rebecca? David cleared the last of the carnage and swept his daughter from her feet. They latched onto each other in a fierce embrace. Rebecca wrapped her legs around his belly and buried her face in his neck, sobbing bitterly. David began to walk, holding her as if he were holding his own heart. He stumbled into a run. He wanted to tell her that it would be all right, that he loved her, that everything would be the same. But he couldn't speak past the fire in his throat. And the truth was that nothing would ever be the same. Nothing. Ever. Chapter 1. 15 years later. David Ben Soloman turned from the window overlooking the old city's night skyline and faced the old man. So, you have a tale that will change the life of every Jew. Every Jew has a tale that will change the life of every Jew. In the end, they never do. He paused, studying the man. We don't have all night. Get on with it. The hunched Falasha Jew bit off a reply in his foreign tongue, Amharic, and then sat unsteadily on the chair, favoring his shiny brass cane for support. A large white candle at his elbow cast amber hues on the mud walls, but he could see neither the light nor the 5 faces watching him from its shadows. His blind eyes had frozen to slits many years ago. Rebecca thought the Ethiopian Falasha Jew must have passed the 100-year mark, judging by the wrinkled flesh hanging off his skeleton. Solomon just stared at him. If the Falasha priest hadn't been blind, Rebecca imagined he'd be drilling her father with an indignant stare. The servant boy who had guided the man here spoke beside the door. He says that he won't speak to a man who does not show proper respect, the boy said nervously. He is a keeper of truth, a great elder in Ethiopia. In the shadows, Avraham Shlush, her father's rugged bodyguard, stood with arms crossed, peering at the old man past a frown. Next to him, Professor Zakai stood with hands in pockets, leaning against the wall. The archaeologist had a one-track mind, and, as of yet, this meeting clearly wasn't on it. They were here because her father, David Ben Soloman, had been told that the old Falasha priest had information critical to the Temple Mount, and any information critical to the Temple Mount was, in one way or another, lifeblood to the leader of the Temple Mount advocates. Forgive me, Rabbi, Solomon said, using the respectful title, but I have been told many things before. I'm growing tired of stories. The Falasha priest didn't move. His jaw was covered in a ragged gray beard. A tan tunic badly in need of a good scrub wrapped his frail body. The bright red beads around his neck and the shiny golden cane in his hand stood in contrast to everything else about him. But then the Falasha Jews, better known as the Black Jews of Ethiopia, had always been an enigma, a throwback to ancient Judaism. Unlike other Jews scattered to the 4 corners, the Falasha were the only living Jews who still practiced blood sacrifice, among other ancient Jewish customs. Very few historians could agree on how Judaism first made its way into Ethiopia, but it had appeared suddenly, remarkably intact. In the remote Falasha villages of Ethiopia, Judaism had remained virtually unchanged for at least 1,000 years, perhaps 2,000 or longer, like a fly frozen in amber. An enigma. The old priest looked as though he had just pried himself out of that amber and made his way back to Jerusalem to find God, like so many of his countrymen. Perhaps to find the Messiah. Rebecca blinked in the dim light. But the Messiah isn't here, is he, Rabbi? You've come back to a bankrupt nation, which refuses to make room for God, much less the Messiah. Her father spoke again, his voice gentle now. I beg your forgiveness, Rabbi. He regarded the old Jew with amusement now. 30 years ago I would have spared no effort to hear your story, but I've given my life to the fruitless pursuit of rebuilding the temple. And these days I find myself wrestling more with doubt than dancing with hope. Surely you understand. Her father stood tall, dressed in black slacks and a white shirt. He'd always favored casual clothes, and his latest obsession